So from India, we have our colleague Kaustuv Bandyopadhyay. I hope I pronounced it right. He's the Director of Global Partnerships at PRIA. He's an expert within the area of civil society building, citizenship participation, democratic governance. So I expect a lot of inputs from that perspective. So thank you, Kaustuv.
Thank you, Nathan. I'm also thankful that you introduced me in that way, because what was written here that leading practitioners, leading academicians, so which I'm not, and I'm not going to pretend that I'm an academician. For last 20-25 years, I have been working as a grassroots development practitioners and trying to sort of build knowledge from our own practice and then inform other practitioners, including the government and from the corporate sectors. I guess we are personally, institutionally, and nationally in a deep transition moment. Until yesterday, Silvio, I, and a couple of other colleagues from South Africa, from China, from Mexico, we have been discussing citizen participation in local governance and local democracy. And today, I am with this community, which is largely unknown to me, to be frank, and this is quite intimidating for us. And I'm giving this personal analogy because I guess there is this transition at the national level also. A country which is still receiving aid from external donors, other countries, is also posing as a donor which is providing assistance to others. So when we got engaged with our own government on the issues of local governance, on the issues of human rights, on the issues of general development policy, our focus primarily was at the domestic level. We never looked at our government's international policy and how are they posing as a nation state and how are they relating to other nation states. I guess we are more looking at the OECD policies and DAC policies because as civil society organizations, we have been a party to a development cooperation framework, and we are in a way compelled to look at those policies which have been affecting both us as civil society, but how our work will be affecting our government and our societies, and particularly the citizens in our own country. At times we have been disappointed and some of the policies of OECD has caused, in a way, irritation to as a development practitioners. Particularly, Paulo, you talked about the conditionalities and the way we have been told to reform our own societies and the way we have been told to restructure our own societies. And after following that, we haven't found ourselves in a more equitable or more equal, as a more equal societies. Those policies have largely been failed to address the inequalities within our society. So when we talk about inequalities, we talk about the rights of, at least in Indian context, the Dalits, the untouchables. We talk about the inequality of the women. We talk about inequality of the youth. So when big ticket infrastructure project, big projects are talked in the BRICS platform, we have similar kind of uncanny feeling that this is going to be another, in a way, perpetuation of the same development policy. So as civil society, we politely ask our government that when you talk about your international development policies, then other than these big infrastructure, trade-related projects, are you also talking about the social development projects? Are you talking about the community development approach? Are you talking about women's empowerment, young people's rights? All those questions. We know that because of this peculiar transition, it's a difficult situation for us as civil society to ask our own government, and because many a times the information related to the international policies are not transparent enough, are not available in the public domain, and therefore many a times it's also difficult for us to take a kind of clear position on certain issues. So in a way, we have been learning quite fast, and trying to engage with our own government. When we have been talking to some of our diplomats who are in a way shaping the international policies, we were worried on many things, but we are also encouraged on one or two things. And let me tell you what are those things that encouraged us. One of the things that they say that we are not going to be guided by the DAC kind or OECD kind of development policies. Our primary mode of operation is to respond to the country which kind of sends some request, and we provide some response. So it's not a development aid which is prefixed, preconditioned, but it's flexible, and whenever we get request from a prospective recipient country, then we respond positively towards that. So we had a discussion that when you say that the request is coming from a recipient government, are you assuming that those governments have a democratic process of prioritizing what is required for that country? So as a civil society organization, perhaps we will be pushing our government to ask those critical questions, that when you say ownership, it's not the ownership of the government, it's the ownership of the society. When you say agreement, it is agreement between the society and the government. When you say it is priority, then it's a real national priority which has a broader consensus. So we'll continue to monitor and watch our own government from those angles. The second thing which encouraged us, they said that for last 5 decades, development aid, development assistance, development cooperation, everything has been a north to south, top down approach, and it did not in a way nurture the learning relationship between two parties. So they have been talking about south-south cooperation and south-south learning. And we realized that, at least from the civil society point of view, that's the perspective we always nurtured. And we tried to learn from each other, not to tell each other how to do things, but to learn from each other. And if that becomes the way of communication, that becomes the way of cooperation, then we are really encouraged. So this amongst many other things, I guess, this South-South cooperation and learning, and if it is implemented in a manner, if it is practiced in a manner which is beyond the rhetoric of so-called South-South learning, and truly in a respectable, mutually respectful manner, then we are with our government, and we are trying to, we'll be with this kind of learning environment. Thank you so much.